Welcome everybody to the Revenue Growth webinar. I'm glad you're here. About 190 people are participating on the webinar currently. There were over 250 signed up, so we're doing great as far as registrants to attendees. I'm going to ask the question one more time. If you can see my screen and if you can hear me, and we have yes confirmations on both of those items. If you can go to your GoToWebinar control panel and just type in yes and yes. Go ahead and type in yes and yes on your control panel. You see my screen, you can hear me. Give me another yes and a yes just to make sure we're still good. Bernd and Chris and McElroy, Michael, JJ, Matt, Jared, Chris, Brian, Yvonne, thank you. Very good. Okay, you can stop writing yeses. Thank you, guys. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to work for an hour, and I'm going to go hard, and I'm going to go really not hold anything back. And we're going to talk about ways for you to grow your sales and ways for you to grow your revenue. This is essentially the official launch for the book for the people who follow my work. The book came out last Monday. It pre-sold thousands of copies since it launched on Monday. It has sold thousands of copies, doing quite well. Thank you for your support in that. I'm grateful and I appreciate it. This webinar presents some of the concepts in the book, just some of the concepts. Again, I always say, and I say this in the book and I say this in my speeches, you don't need me to do this work. You can do this on your own. You can apply the things that I teach on your own. The question is, will you? The question is, will you do the work? It doesn't take a long time, and it's not difficult, and it's not very hard, frankly. The individual steps are not very hard. What people do have a challenge with is actually doing it, is actually getting started, because you're busy. We're going to talk about all of that. We have a hello from Rock Hill. We have a hello from Long Island. We have a hello from Canada. We have a hello from Germany. We have a hello in London. So welcome, everybody. This is a live webinar. I am recording it. This is being recorded. You can review this webinar if you are attending live. I'm going to put it on my website and I'll share the link. You can also review this webinar. If you're not here with us live, there will be live interaction, so you miss out on that, but you get everything that was said and everything that was shown. But originally this was done live to a live audience. Now we have 201 people with us. So let's begin. The book came out on Monday, and in the book there are 22 separate techniques for revenue growth. The book is broken up into three main parts. The first part is mindset, how you think about your value, what you believe about what you do, because frankly, that's the key to everything. The second part of the book are the 22 techniques, the things to do, and the third part of the book is action, is actually doing it. And this webinar is broken down the same three ways: mindset, your beliefs, actions that you can take, things you can do, techniques that you can do to grow your business. And I'm going to share 6 with you today. And at the end, we're going to talk about action. And we begin with this, folks. Let me just say one more time how to communicate with me. If you have a question, you can go to the question and answer box that's in your GoToWebinar control panel and type it in and ask it. And I will be checking there periodically, and I will be answering. Don't raise your hands because I'm not looking for those. There's a hand raising feature. I'm not looking for that. Go ahead and type your communication into the Q&A box, and I will stop every few minutes and go through them. We have a hello from Sugar Land, Texas. Hello, Brad. We have a hello from Barcelona. This is an international event, folks. And then Sugna7 writes down, Alex, yes, we can do it on our own. However, we need direction from you so as to optimize our efforts. Well, you're here, and congratulations for that. So you're taking that first step. Folks, I believe you deserve more revenue. I believe that your work is damn good, and I believe that your products are tremendous, and I believe that your customers are helped by you, are improved by you, receive such value from you that you deserve to generate more revenue as a result of that work. That's how good your work is. I think that you sort of owe more customers the kind of value that you deliver your existing customers. I think that your existing customers deserve to benefit from your value more, all of that. And so when we call a prospect or a customer, when we call a prospect to sell to them, when we call a customer to sell more to them, we are not bothering them. We are not imposing on them. We are not selling to them. We are not pitching to them. We are not asking them to buy. You know what we're doing? We are offering to help them more. That's it. We are offering to provide more of our tremendous value to them. And if you think about it that way, you don't hesitate. If you think about it that way, you go and you do it because all we're doing is helping people. And so let me ask you this question, and you can answer it in your question and answer box. Who deserves that your revenue grows? Who deserves that you sell more as a company and as an individual? Give me the kinds of people, the groups of people. So don't name your spouse, for example. I don't want the name. But you would say, my spouse deserves it. Or this group of people deserve it. Who deserves for your revenue to grow, please? Go ahead and type it into your Q&A box. Who deserves for the business to grow? Clients, family, and myself. Me, my spouse, and my clients. Every employee here, says Bill. The owner, says Hans. My employees, say Rachel. Rachel also says my family. Hugh says my spouse, my church, my customers. Yeah, your church deserves it, Hugh. Our team members, vendors, community. You guys are all correct. You guys are all correct. Chris says my company, my family, my customers, my vendors, my employees. Yeah, your family deserves it because when you're working, you are not with them. And they deserve to benefit from the value of additional money coming into the home, right? Your staff deserves it because they deserve to grow, to work for a thriving company. Your vendors deserve it because they stand by you during rough times, and they deserve to know that you're going to be able to pay the bill. Your customers deserve it because they deserve to work with a thriving business, a growing company, a healthy, successful business, not a shrinking one. You don't want to work, nobody wants to work with a struggling, shrinking company. Everybody wants to work with a growing, prosperous kind of organization. That's what we want to associate with. And so in parentheses here, let me plant the seed for you. You guys are all correct. You guys are all correct with your answers. Thank you very much. In parentheses here, the question is, why do you work? And who do you work for? And all those answers that you gave is why you work and who you work for. Let me share with you why I work and who I work for. This is in my acknowledgments in the book. I was born in Ukraine, and we came here when I was 2 years old. The apartment that we lived in is right here where I'm tracing around on the left picture, second floor. That's the door that you walked in and out of. And the apartment went from the left side of the window here to the right side of the window. And that apartment was 400 square feet. That's a 400 square foot apartment. That's where I lived. And in that 400 feet lived my mom and my dad, my grandma and my grandpa, my great grandma, and I. 6 of us lived in that 400 square feet. And a couple of years ago, we went back to it. We went back to that city where I was born, called Lvov, Ukraine. And the right picture here is my dad. And here, this is the hallway that leads into the courtyard that's on the left picture. So behind him is the front door, then that's the courtyard. Here is me standing at the front door. That was in that last picture. And you can see the concrete up here has probably fallen and killed some people standing where I'm standing. I didn't know that when I was standing there. And you see the condition of things. You know, when I went in there, it crystallized things for me. I realized why I work and who I work for. Let me put my dad back on the screen. I work for him and for my family and my mom, who got out of the Soviet Union, because in the late 70s, that's what it was, when there was no internet and the world was damn big, and you couldn't go on Google Earth and see where you were going. And they didn't know English because it was illegal. And they had about $20 US, or any currency. It translated into $20. And they came to a world they didn't know that was essentially billed as the enemy. In fact, my mom didn't want to go at all because she had watched The Godfather. And she thought that was America. So that's who I work for, my family, who brought me here. To live in the most entrepreneurial country in the world, where the amount of money you make is determined only by your effort and by your perseverance. We're going to talk about both of those things today. Here's my family now. my wife and twins, Noah and Bella. Here they are a little more recently. They are 6 years old now. That is why I work, folks. That is why I do the speeches and go see the clients. And even when I don't feel like it, that is why I work. It's very top of mind for me, always. I know why I work. And my question to you is, why do you work? And who do you work for? Because when we're clear on this, when we're clear, it's easier. It's easier to make the call. It's easier to ask for the testimonial. It's easier to ask for the referral. We don't hesitate because we know why we're working. So it's important to get clear on that. Anthony says, my clients, my wife and daughter, my contractors and their families, God who has given me so much talent and product. Yes, God has given you talent and products that are incredibly helpful to people. So let them benefit from it. All right. Get clear on why you work and who you work for. Now, I know you're all busy. I know you're taking time out of a very busy schedule to do this work and even to attend this webinar. It's not like you're sitting around doing nothing. You probably have customers you could be calling back right now instead of sitting at this webinar. And when I do these things live at speeches and at workshops, it's a lot more time than this even that people give. Traveling and being there, it's often days away from the office. You're very busy. I know this. Now, my question to you is, what kind of work are you busy with? How do you spend your busyness? Doing reactive work, which means responding to customers, or doing proactive work, which means sitting down and making time to grow your company or your sales. I know not everybody on the webinar right now runs their business. I know many of you are in sales. Many of you are senior leaders at your company. Many of you manage others. So how do you spend your days? Reacting to customer issues or with proactive work? Go ahead and type your answer into the question and answer box there. Reactive busy or proactive busy? How do you spend your days, folks? Tom says both. 50-50. Reactive. Rachel says prefer to be proactive busy, but. Jeff says both. Helen says reactive. Bill says reactive. Reactive 80%, Bill says. 75-25, reactive. Rob, thank you. Here's the thing, folks. Revenue growth is proactive work. Revenue growth is proactive work. We must make time for it. Now, when do customers call us? When they're happy? Hey, great job. That was awesome. Really, really great work. Can I pay you more? Do you guys get those calls? Do you hear from people like that? No, because we are wired to communicate when there's a problem. When everything's fine, they're busy too. They're not going to make the time to call us. They're busy. They got their own fires. So when we hear from customers, even the very, very happy ones, what do we hear? Oh, you screwed it up. You got it wrong. It's not here on time. You made a mistake. There's an error. Get it here. My guys are standing around waiting for your stuff. Let's go. Right? That's a fire. They take the fire, they put it on your desk, and you better put it out or it'll burn your hair off. And when you put it out, what happens next? The next fire comes, doesn't it? The next phone call comes. So most people, whether you're in sales or customer service, whether you run the business or you help to lead it and manage it, most people spend their days reacting to issues like I just described. And once again, the problem is revenue growth is proactive work. We got to make time for it. It won't grow on its own. And if it does, it's an accident. Sometimes it might accidentally grow on its own. But systematically, planfully, in an organized, predictable way, that's proactive stuff. Now, you don't have to make hours per day for this kind of work, for revenue growth. You don't. I'm not asking you for hours. I'm not asking you for an hour per day. I'm not asking you for half an hour per day. What am I asking you for? How long does it take to grow a business? It doesn't take a long time. It takes a short time. You know what it takes? One action per day. One communication action per day. One communication per day that's proactive, that's from the list of communications that is in the book. And I'm going to share 6 of the 22 with you on this webinar. So do one of the 6 every day. I don't care which. I don't care which. It doesn't matter to me which thing you do. I don't care when you do it. I don't care who you do it to, as long as that person can buy something from you, whether it's a customer or a prospect. I only care that you do something every day that lets more people know about your value, about more of your value. That's what proactive work is. That's what I mean by revenue growth. Let me check the questions. Michael says he's sitting in a room of 5 and he's got both. Both reactive and proactive. 70-30, unfortunately too much reactive for another mark. All right, proactive work. Now, next item. Everything I'm going to tell you in this webinar, and probably everything you're going to read in my book, and probably everything I teach my clients who pay a lot of money to work with me. I'm not particularly affordable to work with. My very high-paying clients, who I'm incredibly grateful for, everything I teach them, they already know. And everything you will learn in this webinar, you already know. And everything you will read in my book, you already know. The question is, are you doing it? Because there's a big difference between knowing and doing. Big difference between knowing and doing. You could know something. For example, you'd probably agree with me that testimonials and referrals are among the best ways we have to grow our business, right? It's among the best ways we have to grow a business. Are we asking for them enough? Most people aren't. We know that they're good, but not enough of us ask for them. So what's the distance then? If knowing is on the left here and doing is on the right on the screen, what's the distance between knowing and doing? What separates them? What separates knowing and doing? You know what I think it is? Discipline. I think it's that one word. And what we're about to talk about now sort of gets into the 2 things that I mentioned a few minutes ago that define how much money one can make living in America and or the free world that some of you wrote from. Germany, the UK, wherever you live that is in the world. The amount of money that you make is defined by your effort, which I'm about to explain discipline here, and by your persistence. And we're about to talk about both of those things. Number 1, discipline. About 2 years ago, I lost 50 pounds. I have a herniated disc in my back, and terrible pain. A couple of years ago, I went to doctors. I went to surgeons, and they said, you can take meds, or you can have surgery. You can take meds, or you can take or surgery. And I didn't want to do either thing, but I was in terrible pain. In fact, once I was giving a speech in New York City. It's about 2 years ago, and my leg went numb for the first time. Never happened to me before. So I'm on a stage, about 600 people in the audience. I've got a huge video screen of me behind me, so everybody could see me. And I'm walking around the stage on video here, and the other huge screen has my PowerPoint, like you're looking at now. And my leg goes numb, and I don't know what's happening because it's never happened before. And I think, maybe I'm dying. Maybe the rest of me is about to go numb next. I don't know. Never felt it before. And then my back lights up on fire. And I'm limping around the stage. like it's what you want in a speaker, right? You want a gimpy speaker because it helps you learn. And I'm dragging my leg around on the stage. And I get off the stage and I got through it, and I call my wife and I say, I can't live like this anymore. and I don't want to do the surgery, and I don't want to do the meds. Let me try to lose some weight. I knew I had some weight to lose. Let me try to lose some weight. And so that day I came home, and I said, today I will only eat fruits and vegetables. Fruits and vegetables only. I tried all the different diets, you know, the low carb, the the all carb, which is not a diet I'd recommend. Don't do the all carb diet. You can't lose weight with that one. But I tried, you know, all meat and no meat and everything in between. And I said, let me try fruits and vegetables only, right? Clean food only, because nothing else had worked. And I started. And starting is the first part of discipline, the first of two things in discipline. So I started my diet. I got through the day. I only ate fruits and vegetables. And I looked back after the day was over. I said, I did it. Today I did it. Tomorrow, I'm going to do it again. I woke up the next day, did it again. In the first month, I lost 27 pounds. In the second month, I lost 13 more. In the next 2 months, I dropped 10 more, 50 pounds, 4 months. People said to me, how much weight do you want to lose? I said, I don't know until I'm done, until it comes off. They say, how long are you going to stay in the diet? I said, I don't know until it stops hurting. So I dropped to 50 pounds the first day I started. After that, all I did was repeat. That's discipline, folks. Discipline is nothing more than starting and repeating. That's all it is. I like the simplest solution. There's a chapter on this in my book on discipline. Most of these slides have a chapter in my book. It's a 260-page book, and there's 43 chapters, because that's how I like to write, in short bits and short nuggets. It's also how I like to read, frankly. It's how I like to learn, short bits. Starting and repeating is discipline. And just like I lost my weight, on day one I started, and then I repeated. Revenue growth is the same way. Start, and you repeat. When you leave this webinar, when you read the book, when you leave this webinar, start. Do something. I'm going to teach you 6 things to do. Pick one and do it. I just need one action a day. 45 seconds, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, never more than 15. Start. Tomorrow, guess what I'm going to ask you to do? Repeat. And after that, repeat again. That's discipline. Starting and repeating. Now, let's talk about the perseverance part of this. The perseverance part is this. I was speaking in Atlanta earlier this year, and speaking before me was a psychologist named Martin Seligman. And Seligman is known as one of the greatest, inventors, developers, researchers in psychology, in the field of psychology. And I studied him in college. And I had no idea the guy was still alive. When you study somebody in college who's that important and that big and that famous in his field, you suspect that his work was done a long time ago. Well, he's still around. He's in his late 70s, and he's working at the University of Pennsylvania. And he is still researching. He's still working full-time and incredibly productive. One of the most brilliant people in psychology. And this guy is known as the father of positive psychology, the creator of it. And I'm just looking on my bookshelf right now. His books are called Authentic Happiness. Flourish is the newest one. And one of the most interesting ones, if you have young children, is called The Optimistic Child. The Optimistic Child. The subtitle, I'm holding the book in my hand right now. The subtitle is A Proven Program to Safeguard Children Against Depression and Build Lifelong Resilience. And there's that word, resilience. And the words I have on the screen right now, persistence and perseverance. And so he studies this stuff. And he said at this speech that I was at listening, I don't normally listen to other speakers at the events that I'm at, but this guy, obviously, I knew of his work very well, and I was mesmerized by him. And he said the following incredibly important thing. Seligman said that perseverance and resilience are twice as important to success as talent. Now think about that. Another way of saying it is perseverance and resilience are 2/3 of the equation to success, 2/3. Talent is only 1/3, which means getting back up when you're down, trying again after you're rejected, making another effort even when you do not want to, are twice as important as being really good at what you do. Isn't that interesting? A lot of people who are really good have given up too soon. One of my favorite quotes is by Thomas Edison. You've seen this in my newsletter several times, if you get it. One of my very favorite quotes is, most of life's failures have given up, most of life's failures were unaware of how close they were to success when they've given up. They didn't know how close they were when they stopped. And many times, success is one additional effort away. I wrote about this recently in my newsletter. No doesn't mean no. When you're selling to somebody, when you're asking for business and they say no, that doesn't mean no forever. It just means no for right now. It just means not at this moment. So give them another opportunity to say yes, to change their mind. Give them many opportunities. Why not? You help them in extraordinary ways. That's the key here. Your value is the key. How you improve people is extraordinary. So you have to know that. More on that in a second. Let me tell you the story about my trees. When my kids were born, as you saw earlier in the webinar here, they're 6 years old now. When they were born, we planted 2 trees at our house that we lived in, and here they are. And so one of the trees is here in the foreground, and the other one is smaller and to the right of the gazebo, on the right edge where my mouse is now. That was the other tree. And they're both maple trees. But we planted them when the kids were born, and they're really important sentimental trees to us. And we moved this January from this house. We left this house, and we moved. Just checking the questions here. Brad is asking me if I can send the name with spelling of the author so I can look up his books. Yes, I will. Here, Brad, I'll write it down right here. It is Martin Seligman, like that. Martin Seligman. Anyway, we had these 2 trees that were the children's trees, and this one here in the foreground, that's Noah's tree. And it was an autumn blaze maple, and the one on the right edge here is Bella's tree. It's a purple maple. They call it a crimson king. So they're very important trees to us. And we moved in January, and I wanted to take the trees because they're important to us. But you can't just move a tree that's been in the ground for 5, 6 years like that. I thought that guys would come with shovels, and a crew would come and dig it up and move it to the new house. Well, it doesn't work that way. You need what they call a hydraulic tree spade. A hydraulic tree spade looks like this. That's how you move a mature tree. And there's about a dozen companies in Illinois, in northern Illinois. I live in the Chicago area. There's about a dozen companies that do this kind of work, and I called every one of them. And none of them wished to do my work. It was spring. So we moved in January, but and then we put our old house on the market. So we closed on the old house end of May, I think. So just about a month and a half ago. So this stuff just happened. And so we knew that we had to get the trees out of the ground before we closed on the house. At that point, my trees, my children's trees, become they start belonging to the person who buys our house, who bought our house. So I spent 30 days on it, 45 days, 60 days. Couldn't find somebody as time was ticking. Couldn't find somebody to do it. One guy agreed and emailed me the night before. Did not call, but emailed me and said, sorry, I'm sure he got another job. They like doing commercial work. They like to do work that is bigger than this. They do parking lots and parks and office complexes. 2 little trees in somebody's backyard, and they were all afraid that they were going to cut up the grass because these trucks are the size of a cement mixer. And in my backyard, with the nice green grass, none of them wanted to drive their truck to do this work. So I got through the dozen companies in Illinois, And my wife says to me, maybe give it up and let's buy a couple of new trees for the new house. And my parents say to me, yeah, maybe give it up, maybe buy a couple trees. And by the way, for the amount that it costs to move these things, you can buy like a forest of trees. You can buy probably 3 dozen trees. But I wanted these trees. These were our trees. These were important sentimental trees to us. Anyway, even the tree guys are telling me to give it up. They said it's not worth it. It's not worth our time. It's not worth your effort. Forget it. Said it's not worth your money. So the people whose work it is in the world to do this stuff were advising me against it. I said, I want the trees, man. That's my kids' trees. So I start calling companies in Wisconsin, and I call half a dozen of them. So now what am I at, 18, 20 companies, and I find a guy that's an hour and a half north of Milwaukee, which means he's about, 2.5, 3 hours from me. And he gets in his truck and he agrees to do it, and he drives 3 hours each way to move my trees. And here's the first one coming out of the ground. That's Bella's tree. That's the truck that he used and drove. Here it is arriving at the new house. Here's the other one going in. That's the size of the hole you can see there. And here are the trees in front of our house. Closest to the sidewalk, closest to the street for everybody to enjoy. After this was done that night, my wife says to me, I don't know anybody else who would have persevered enough to get those trees here. It literally took yeoman's effort, yeoman's work to put the trees in this ground. But you know what? It was important to me, and I did it. And revenue growth is the same way, folks. Persistence and resilience is 2/3, right? If you take my trees example, my only talent was figuring out who to call. So I could research, and I could find these companies, and I could find their phone numbers, and I could Google it up all day long. That was the talent. The rest of it, which was most of it, was the persistence. So I'm going to teach you what to do on this webinar. That's going to be 1/3 of the equation. 2/3 of it is going to be you doing it and persevering and being resilient and executing and moving and doing the work. That's 2/3 of it, is doing the work persistently until you succeed. All right? I check the questions. Let's see. Josh says, good one, Josh. Josh says, we at Sherwood Lumber sell trees. Very good. That's a great joke. All right, ladies and gentlemen, revenue growth is quite simple. It's not complicated like many people think. One of the most asinine sayings in business is it takes money to make money. It doesn't take money to make money. It doesn't. Revenue growth requires no financial investment, but it does require a bit of elbow grease and a bit of personal effort. That's what it requires. That's what revenue growth needs. It's quite simple. It doesn't take a long time. Do you know what it takes to grow revenue? Communicate more. More communication is what it takes. And my definition of marketing is this. I told you I like the simplest solution. My definition of marketing is systematically communicating your value to people who can buy it. And when I work with clients, this is what we implement. A systematic communications process. So that every person at my client's company that faces customers, all the salespeople, the customer service people, the management, even at times the shipping people, even at times the billing people, anybody who faces customers, we teach them to take one communication action per day. So that when they walk out of the room, there's a workshop 90 days into my projects. And when they walk out of that day-long workshop, there's this groundswell, this instantaneous switch is flipped. And everybody that faces a customer communicates, takes one action per day. And at many of my clients, this means 50, 100, 200, 300 actions are happening daily. 300 communications are happening that weren't happening yesterday. So that's how you grow a business, systematically communicating your value to people who can buy it. Now, before we dive into this, one quick thing on the book. I I thought that I would thank you and reward you for coming here to this webinar. And I thought about different ways to do this. And so here are my two offers. On the left side first, reviews on websites like Amazon and Barnes & Noble, book reviews by readers, are meaningful and impactful and really affect the sales of a book. So this is my offer to you. If you add your review to Amazon, and I'm assuming you have the book, but if you add your review to Amazon, I will send you a PDF digital copy of the book in its entirety, so that you can access it conveniently on your phone or on your tablet or on your computer. So when you write your review, just email me the link. We can reply to any one of my newsletters, and I'll send you the PDF. On the right side is the other offer, which is this. If you let your audience know about the book in some way, whether by email or if you have a hard copy newsletter, if you want an excerpt perhaps to share with your customers or with your vendors, if you communicate something about my book to your audience, I'll send you a signed copy, a personalized signed copy, and just send me an email of what you wrote and did, okay? And so that's the offer. If you add your review to Amazon or Barnes & Noble, I'll send you the PDF immediately. And if you let your audience know about the book, I'll send you a signed copy as thanks. Every author needs a little help from their friends. And this is my thank you to you for attending the webinar. All right, here we go. What you want is two parallel tracks of communication. When my clients walk out of that workshop, we have both tracks operating at the same time. Across the top, you want one-on-one communication. Across the bottom, we want the company communicating to the list. These people here, these buyers, this is your list. We want to communicate with them one-on-one. So the bottom track begins with a good list and a good newsletter. A good newsletter should go out every 2 weeks. More on this before we end. This is one of the 6 techniques. A good newsletter should go out every 2 weeks, because if it only goes out monthly, that's enough for them to forget about you, but not enough for them to remember you. It should go out every 2 weeks, minimum. More is okay too, if it's helpful, if it's valuable. Here are some examples of one-to-one communications. On the left side is management, the salesperson, the customer service people, any customer-facing person. On the right side are your customers and prospects. You might communicate a testimonial. You might ask the did you know question. You might ask for a referral. These are examples of the one action you can take every day. Here are some examples of the bottom track. And C/P are your customers and prospects. You begin by putting together a good list of these people, of customers and prospects. And then you continue by communicating with them systematically. So that, back to this slide now, this person here, this person who can buy from you, hears from you one-on-one, and hears from you from the company via your newsletter. And suddenly they hear from you exponentially more than they were hearing from you before. And let me tell you something here that is difficult for my clients to deal with. It's a challenging concept to wrap their minds around. In revenue growth, quantity trumps quality. In revenue growth, quantity is more important than quality. The more that people hear from you, the more they will buy from you. The less they hear from you, the less they will buy from you. It never works the opposite way. It never, ever works that they hear from you less and start buying from you more. It doesn't work that way. The direct correlation is the more they hear, the more they buy. So my entire program, my entire system is built around customers hearing from you more. Not with sales, not with marketing, not with pushing or cajoling or with requests, but with value, with helpful information. And I'm going to give you 6 things that are things that you can do so that they can hear from you more. I'm going to share them on this webinar right now. All right? I'm asking you for 1 communication per day. That's it. 1 communication action per day. We talked about the 3 parts that make up the book and also this webinar. Everything we've been doing up to now is mindset here. We've been doing mindset. We begin with mindset for this reason. If your marketing shapes your market's perceptions of you more than anything else, then it is your perceptions on the bottom left that shape your marketing more than anything else. What you believe is what you say. What you believe is what you communicate. You cannot outsell or outmarket what you believe. So if you believe you sell trees, Sherwood Lumber, Josh, if you believe you sell trees or the wood of them, that's what you communicate. If you believe you improve your customers' lives and companies, you save them time, you make them money, you make them more productive, which is exactly what they'll tell you if you ask. If you ask your customers how they are improved when they work with you, that is what they tell you. They don't talk about your lumber, Josh. They don't talk about your products. They don't talk about your pipes and your valves. They don't talk about your consulting. They talk about how they're improved when they work with you, what they like about working with you, how they're better off. They talk about how you help them grow their business, save them time, make them more productive, make them look good to their customers, make them look good to their boss. That's what you do for people. If you don't believe me, ask them. They'll tell you. They'll be happy to tell you. I'm going to teach you how to ask them here in a second. We got to get your perceptions right, because revenue growth is nothing more than a transference of perceptions from you onto the market. You can only market what you believe. You got to believe the right things then. Revenue growth is this diagonal arrow. And so we have to believe the right things. This is the rate determining step in chemistry equations. They talk about rate determining steps. I remember this from I was for some reason a organic chemistry or a chemistry minor in college, which was so stupid to do. One of the worst decisions I've ever made. But I was young. And so I minored in chemistry. And they talked about rate determining steps, which is the step in the equation that determines the speed of the whole equation. It's the slowest, it's the most important one. And here's the rate determining step for revenue growth. You have to start believing and thinking about how you improve lives and companies instead of what you do and sell. Focus on your value, on your great value, on your powerful value, rather than on what you do or sell. Because your product or your service is a commodity, and it's boring. The lumber, Josh, it's boring. Sorry, man. It's just not interesting. Because everybody sells lumber. I can buy lumber or trees from anybody. But I buy it from you because you help me with my job. You help me look good to my customers. You help me keep my customers because you deliver and you do what you say. You deliver on time, which helps me look good to my boss. That's what you do. That's on the right side. That's how you improve lives and companies. On the left side is your lumber, the boring thing, the commodity thing. When you are seen as a commodity, and when you believe yourself to be a commodity, you only have one thing to compete on. What do you think that is? Price. You got nothing but price. So the only way to get business when you're a commodity and when you believe yourself to be a commodity is to lower the damn price. That's the only way. But if you understand your great value over here on the right side, you got a million other things to talk about. And they're a lot more interesting and compelling and impactful and memorable and good. Mark says, here at Beaver Lumber, we cut down the trees to produce lumber and replant so you can live in that beautiful home. Thank you very much. Tillman says Amazon needs to get the book to London. I agree. The customer and prospect has to get why you do and sell what you do. You're exactly right, Jeffrey. That's exactly right. All right, so that's the mindset, folks. The mindset is understanding what you do for your customers. And the best way to do that is not to sit down at your desk and write a list. It's to ask your customers. Okay, now the 6 things. Number 1. The 6 communications. Number 1, the did you know question. Guess what percentage the average customer is consciously aware of all of what they can buy from you? So if everything you can sell them is 100%, all your products, all your services, your catalog, all the things you can do for them, that's 100%. The average customer is only aware of about 20% of it, which means that it's physically impossible for them to buy the other 80%. They might want to because they love working with you. You might want to sell it to them. Why wouldn't you? But none of it is possible because the customer doesn't know. So we let them know. Did you know we also sell X or Y or Z? It makes more money for more of my customers than any other technique. This one, the did you know question. You can ask it in person on the phone. You can ask it when you're face to face. And you can ask it in every single email that you send. One of the longer chapters in the book is on the did you know question, all the different ways that you can ask it. Did you know we also do X or Y or Z? I told you this stuff is simple. When we ask the did you know question systematically, then more people know about more of what they can buy from us. And guess what happens? They buy more stuff of ours. So think about your customers, what they're buying from you, and what else they can buy from you. Real quick story. I was at the airport in Minneapolis flying out, and they have a Caribou coffee shop there at the airport. And I bought a cup of coffee. And the girl behind the counter, I say girl because she was about 20. The girl behind the counter says to me, would you like a bottle of water with that? And I said, oh my God, she just asked me the did you know question. I said, do they teach you to ask this question? She said, yes, they do. I said, how many people buy a bottle of water? She says, almost everybody. Now think about the power of this question. Almost everybody. The coffee costs $3. Guess how much the water costs? $5. $5. So with a little bitty question, would you like a bottle of water with that? And of course I would. I'm getting on the airplane. Why wouldn't I want a bottle of water? With that little question, they nearly triple their revenue from $3 to $8. Yes, I could have gone to the gift shop and probably bought it for $4. I know that. I know it's more expensive here. But that means I would have to go somewhere else, and I would have to take out my wallet again and stand in another line. And I'm at the airport. I want to get going. So I'm happy to pay more. And your customers are happy to buy more from you because they like buying from you. They're happy about it. They like working with you. Let them. Tell them what else they can buy. Show them. Teach them. Ask the did you know question. Ask, I say ask one a day, but it doesn't have to be one a day. It doesn't have to be one a day. It can be in every email that you send. My clients put it in their signature files on their emails. Okay? Next, the follow-up. You had a conversation about business. It's been silent for a while. Follow up. Inquire. You sent a quote on something. Haven't heard back. Follow up. Where's it at? Want to make sure it got to you. This technique has literally generated tens of millions of dollars. Listen to me carefully. Tens of millions of dollars for my clients. Might be getting close to $100 million generated here. I work with large companies, so it's easy to do, but might be getting close to $100 million here. Think about that. The follow-up. You talked about business. The conversation died. Follow up. They asked you for a quote. You sent it. You haven't heard from them. Follow up. Listen, these things tend to get picked off by spam filters. Did you get it? Did it get to you? It's important to me. Make 3 efforts to follow up. 3. Effort 2 is, listen, you asked me for this. We had a great conversation about it. I sent it to you. Haven't heard from you. Where's it at? What's going on? You still in the market? And the 3rd inquiry is this. Listen, the file's about to close. All right? The quote's about to expire. I'm getting busy. So I wanted to know, are we doing this? Because if we are, I have to allocate the time for it. And if not, then we're going to close our file. And a lot of times in a 3rd inquiry, people say, no, wait, don't close it yet. Also, I have here on referrals. You ask for a referral, somebody said they're going to think on it and let you know. Don't be afraid to follow up on that. You provide great value to these people. Follow up on it. Who'd you think of? Who you got for me? Follow up. I told you, it doesn't cost any money. I told you already know about it. I told you it's crazy simple. The question is, will you do it? Number 3, the testimonial request. It's very simple. What are some of your favorite things about working with us? Or what do you like best about working with us? That is how to ask for a testimonial. Not, can you give me a testimonial? Because that stresses people out. Don't use the word testimonial when you're asking for a testimonial. Rather say, what do you like best about working with us? And listen to the wonderful answer that they give, and then follow up. Have a conversation with your customer who loves you. Why did you say that? How does that help you? Have a chat, have a beer, have a wine, whatever you like to drink. I mean, pretend, or do it for real, either way, whatever you like. I like to do that for real. But if you're on the phone with them, just imagine yourself sitting down together, having a drink, having a conversation. Listen, what do you like best about working with us? What do we do particularly well for you? Here's a great follow-up question. How does that help you? How does that help you? I know I'm giving you a lot. Everything is detailed in the book, literally with scripts, right? Word for word, what to do and what to say. At the same time, you can take notes here and go do stuff, which is all this takes. The subtitle of the book is The Simple Art of Growing Your Business by 15% in 15 minutes a day. It's simple. I know it's simple. I know it's ridiculously simple. And again, the question is, will you do it? And I know I'm repeating that, and it's for a reason. If I repeat things, it's on purpose because it's important. Next up, you have testimonials, use them. You could have 100 wonderful testimonials, and if nobody sees them, they're useless. It's like a tree falling in the forest. Nobody knows that you have great testimonials. Here's what you do. You send an email to a customer who you want to buy something else, or to a prospect. And you say, listen, I'm working with somebody similar to you. We have a customer similar to you. And here's what they have to say about working with us. And then you paste in the testimonial that you have. And you close the quote, you put their name down, and then you say, let's talk about providing the same value to you. What's good for you, Tuesday or Thursday? That's how to do it. Communicate the testimonial. Get it out there. Let people see it. Let people hear it. Benefit from it. Use it to your advantage. It doesn't matter if you have them, if you're not capitalizing on them. Communicate them. Helen says, I didn't include a testimonial at the end of my emails before. You recommended it at the Atlanta conference. Thanks, Alex. You're welcome, Helen. I'm glad you're using it. Number 5, the very complicated and high-tech handwritten note. If you send a handwritten note to somebody when it isn't the holidays and when it isn't their birthday, it's likely to be either the only or one of the very few handwritten notes they get all year. Think about the power of this. It used to be that everybody sent handwritten notes. Not anymore. If you send a handwritten note, the person who is receiving it will bring it up to you later, almost every single time, either by phone or by email. Many times they'll email you and say, oh my God, thank you. Thank you for sending me this note. Send your note. Do not sell in it. Do not pitch, but just send the note and be a human being and compliment somebody or say something nice to somebody in a handwritten note in a couple of sentences. They're fun to do. Handwritten notes have generated a lot of revenue for my clients. And number 6, let's talk about the company to many track, the list and the newsletter. Build your lists, but do not perfect them because they will never be done. You want to grow your list consistently. And then send your lists a good newsletter every 2 weeks. The newsletter should be helpful, should be valuable. It should demonstrate how good you are and how smart you are. The newsletter, here's the key question to ask on the newsletter. Is this about me? And if it is, delete it. Or is this about my customer? And if it is, keep it. Is this about me? Or is this about my customer? Because we want it to be helpful to the readers. If it's about the reader, leave it. If it's about you, start again. Make it helpful and useful. And on the list, we want all customers, all prospects, all past customers, and past prospects that you talked about business with once that didn't buy. But if you just start with a list of customers, you're good. That's enough. And then add prospects, and then add past customers, and then add past prospects. But your list is never going to be done. Finally, we end with action. I shared with you 6 things. Now I want you to do something every single day. I want you to not perfect, and I want you to do something every day. We must underplan and over-execute. Here is what it looks like. Ready, fire, aim, and adjust. Ready, fire, aim. And remember that all we're doing is helping people. If you go on my website, you can download this 15-minute marketing planner. It's really a revenue growth planner, where Monday through Friday, you write down the one thing you're going to do. And in my book, there's 22 things, and I just shared 6 of them with you. You can write them down right here, one at a time. And on the right side, you write down how it went. And for my clients, the system that we implement is around these planners, where all of their customer-facing people fill out one of these planners, and we do it digitally. There's a spreadsheet. They fill out their actions, and then they share their results. And then they go to their managers. They email these to their managers, and then the managers collate them and email them to the owner and I. And then we give feedback on them, and we know what people are doing. Then we keep track of it. We keep scorecards of it. So track yourself. Keep scorecards for yourself. But this tool is something I created to help people do this stuff. Remember, you know what to do now, and you knew what to do before. The question is, will you do it? Ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't matter what you do as long as more people know about your value today than yesterday. Your business will grow. Tell people how you can help them. That's all we're doing here. The way to grow business is to tell people how you can help them. Once a day, tell somebody who can buy from you something about how they will be improved if they do so. That's it. That's the work. That's the book. A reminder on the offer. If you add your review to Amazon, I will send you a PDF copy of the book so you can reference it digitally and go through the techniques on your own time. If you share the book's details with your audience, with your list, I will send you a personalized and signed copy of the book. So if you do the review, just send me the link. If you share it with your list, just email me what you wrote and show it to me, and I'll get you out a signed copy immediately. All right, folks, listen, thank you very, very much for being here. I hope you found value in this. I appreciate your time. Thanks for being with me. As soon as you close this webinar, there's going to be a 3-question survey that pops up. 3 quick questions. If you can answer those for me, I'd appreciate it. All right. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate your support. And really, be bold, because you're tremendous. Your value is through the roof. So be aware of it, know it, and then behave accordingly. Take appropriate action. Behave as though you're incredibly good, because you are. Thanks for being here. I'll talk to you guys soon.